Well, Paul Weir is on his way down after a victory. Forget about us or what? Really He's like, I really did. No, it's all right. It's a home routine. It's the first game of the year.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I probably should. I can hear you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
I'm
sitting in my office.
He's already having a couple
I'm texting the coaches. Can you see
I know. Thank God. I'm sitting with Mays. He's like, why isn't Paul the radio? I'm like, oh, my God.
Here's your post-game coach's comments. Paul Weir has found his way down.
I'm sorry.
To
working on the Iona game already.
We really were. I apologize.
No, it's a 115-66. Well, obviously, we've talked a lot about this. I think we've hit it from
Solved
every
everything.
angle. But are you satisfied? As satisfied as the coach
I just told the guys, I'll be honest with you. Sorry, I've been running here. We've played 5 halves of basketball that did not show a lot of pride in what happened at the defensive end. We had 2 in a scrimmage, we had 2 at Northridge, and we had 1 here. And it was a pretty emotional halftime. And if there's been one bright spot since this season began, it would have been our defense there in the second half. I thought we finally did some things that I've been waiting to emerge really since the season started. And we've shown flashes, and we've done some things. We've done it in practice. We've done it in theory in a lot of different ways, but we've yet to go out and do it with the lights on and officials out there and fans in the stands. And we finally showed a little bit of that in the second half. Now we have to find a way to go do it in a regular season contest against a really good team on Tuesday night.
You know, the layman would sit there and say, you're up by what were you up by 29, 19, I guess 19 at halftime, and say, well, really, what did you see? And, I mean, without giving away the trade secrets, what is it that upset you?
I think we were, I told the guys, I think our lack of respect, probably a strong word, but our casualness with which if the ball goes in, it doesn't really matter. Or if I make a little bit of a mistake, I'm okay. I was just kind of saying this to the media, like this year's team's different than last year's team, and that last year's team, particularly at the beginning of the year, didn't think they could win. It was guys that were waiting to lose, waiting for something bad to happen. It was a team I was constantly trying to make feel better about themselves. This year's team is the opposite. They think no matter what, it's going to work out and they're going to be okay. And that what happened last year, that just happens, and there's a lot more that goes into that, a lot more discipline, a lot more consistency, a lot more execution on the court, and we've yet to actually show that. And I thought in the second half, we finally paid a lot more attention to detail on the defensive end, and we're able to execute a little bit better.
Well, they definitely turned it up in the second half defensively. Offensively, I also noticed that the first play was pounded inside to Manigat. I mean, was that something that you talked about at halftime? Because in the first half, you didn't have very many points.
We talked about it going into Northridge. Didn't do a great job of it. Talked a lot about coming out of Northridge. Didn't do a great job of it. I thought we had some spurts early that we did. Thought we did a better job. But quite honestly, it's hard. I've had this with shooters before. It's really, really hard, I've always found, to get a shooter to look to the post, because the first thing a shooter wants to do when he catches is, can I shoot? And it's very hard if there's a post player open under the rim and the ball gets skipped or passed to me, for a guy who shot the ball his whole life to not even look to shoot and say, I'm going to stop and I'm going to feed it inside, because he's automatically thinking, when that ball comes to me, if I'm Anthony Mathis, if I'm McQuadge Malawach, if I'm Vance Jackson, it's coming to me so I can kind of get a shot up. So it's a really hard thing to teach, and quite honestly, I don't like teaching it to shooters, because I don't want them thinking. Right. I don't want them second guessing. I don't want them like, oh no, I got to get the ball inside because coach said I would. So we're trying to find like a healthy, relationship there of we know we need to get the ball inside, particularly to some of these guys we have down there. I think Vlad can be really good for us down there. I think Corey can be really good for us down there, and we got to find a way to get them the ball. But we also have to do it to where our offense maybe doesn't lose its rhythm, and our shooters that really help set a lot of stuff up for us don't lose their gun. They don't get gun shy too. You
could see the timing between, say, McGee and Vlad were just off.
Exactly right.
And so they you could just tell that. But and also Dane a couple of times. But the two seniors and, of course, the two sophomores that returned, they seem to know each other a lot more, a lot better. And so you see the continuity between those four.
I think they just understand what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? And everyone comes from a particular background of what their coaches did or how they did it. And you get here and we play offense a particular way. We don't call a lot of plays. We spend a lot of time on just the basics, fundamentals, triple threat, shooting, passing, spacing, just regular offensive concepts and letting guys play. And for some guys, that's too much freedom. And then for others, it just gets them into binds where they're trying to do too much. And that's where I think I thought in particular, Corey and Kareem were much better this game than they were against Northridge. I thought in that game, they were just trying to do too much with that freedom. It was a little bit early where we got into that, but I thought they did a much better job tonight of just moving the ball and letting it come to them however it came to them. Corey had a really quiet 19. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it was a quiet, just let the game come to you and you'll still get your points. We just you don't have to force it. But, you know, some of these guys come from backgrounds and it's not, this is just the way we do it. Some guys come from backgrounds, hey, we're going to call a play every time. And this one's going to go to Hunter. And we're all going to watch Hunter. And then this one's going to, and this guy's going to go to Jeff. And they're used to like some of that. And it just takes time, you know, for them to kind of get out of that mold and say, hey, we're just playing right now. And we don't know who's going to shoot. Hunter may end up wide open or it might be Jeff.
You got 5 guys in double figures, but I thought Vance's line was good. You know, he had 8 points to go with 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and no turnovers, which, look, I don't know what you're expecting out of him this early and how long. We were just talking about this, you know, after sitting out a year to get back into it.
I agree.
But I thought he played well. I thought his line, quiet, 8 to 10 rebounds.
Vance Jackson's going to be a terrific Lobo basketball player. But when you're named newcomer of the year and you come from a program like UConn and you're eligible now to play, the expectations are going to be really high. And quite honestly, a lot of those are probably unfair. The kid played 1 year of college basketball. He's not a 2-year guy. You know, he's not a guy that's has all these games under his belt and NCAA tournaments or whatever. When you look at a lot of these transfers like the Martin brothers, they had 2 years at NC State in the ACC, then sat out, then came here. I mean, Vance had 1 year in the American on a 500 basketball team. Like, he has a lot of room to grow and improve. And if people think he's just going to come out and every night dominate, he eventually, I hope, can become one of those players. And I feel great that he will. But to just assume it's going to happen every night, it's unfair to Vance. He's a great kid. He works his tail off. He fits a lot of things we do. He can shoot the basketball. He knows how to play. Like, he'll be really good for us. I just don't know in the first however many months how consistent that's going to be every night.
Yeah, it seems like he's just a little I guess, he's new coming back, but he's a little out of place, maybe that position. Sometimes,
for sure.
I think maybe if he was on the block a couple times,
question.
Get him in the groove, you know, because he can dominate. He can dominate on the block, on the
But I thought he was a little bit better than Northridge. You know what I mean?
He's made
that's
strides.
all we got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Take care of the basketball.
Exactly right. Like, Northridge was Northridge. Now we have this piece. Now let's go to the next game. Like, let's just keep building. Let's keep finding ways to work it around. Coaches have to adapt as well. Like, we all have to try to find a way to make this puzzle work here, and we got the pieces, and we'll just kind of keep going forward with it.
It seems like the 4 returning players seem like they're right in the groove. I mean, they're kind of continuing. You know, Dane's continuing where he's left off, and McQuatch is doing the same, and Mathis, of course, has just played unbelievable tonight. Talk a little bit about some of the newbies. Ezzedine, he played 20 minutes. I think he was 0 for 4 in the field.
He hasn't been able to knock one down yet, and I thought his shots tonight were much better than the ones he took at Northridge. They were open looks, they're clean looks. He shot it well in our scrimmage. He shot it well all year. He has not shot it well these first couple games, and that's something we're going to have to kind of keep working through. I'm not ready to just pull the plug on it yet.
Is it speed, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it could be nerves. It could just be they're not going down. I mean, they're back rimming out. It's not like he's throwing them off the glass. So that's something we'll have to kind of monitor a little bit as we go forward with him. But he brings a lot of energy. He gets his hands on a lot of balls. He runs around in a press. He's active on the ball. Like, he does exactly what we need him to do. It's not a sexy role. It's not a role that's going to put him in a lot of newspapers, but it's what this team needs, just a high energy kind of forward.
Big week coming up. A good Iona team comes in here on Tuesday, a team that you said that this should help you prepare well for, and then the Aggies come in on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, right now we just got to get ready for Iona. They're a terrific basketball team. They've lost some pieces from last year, but Coach Kluse is a tremendous coach. They've done a great job here over the last, I think he's been there 7 or 8 years now. I don't know how many NCAA tournaments it is, but he's there almost every year. They have really good players, and it's going to be a tough game for us. There's no doubt about it. This is exactly the type of game we wanted to put in our schedule to give our team the best chance of not only success but also challenging ourselves and potentially preparing ourselves for the NCAA tournament, although that right now is kind of the furthest thing from what we're trying to do. Right now it's just doing whatever we can do to get better and play well Tuesday night.
Congratulations. Yeah. Good win tonight.
Yeah.
Go back upstairs and,
I will. Sorry about that. And honestly, I apologize. To the listeners, too, I apologize. That was my last time screwing that one.
It's all right.
Sorry,
it's my last time.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care, guys.
Paul Weir, after a 115-66 victory over Northern New Mexico tonight. Hey, enjoyed it. Always do.
Yeah.
Last year I think I got 5 times to work with you. I think this was it for me this year, the way the schedule works out. But always appreciate you letting me hang out next to you on Albertson's Market Radio Row.
You do a great job, Jeff, and appreciate all you do on the radio all week, getting up bright and early and waking us up with your lovely voice.
Glad someone's there listening. It's nice. I'll be back there at 7 a.m. on the Sports Animal with J.J. Buck on Monday. But J.J.'s standing by now. You don't have to wait for J.J. He's got the post-game call-in show coming up for you now in Albuquerque along the network. Back at you. Robert will be with you on Tuesday with Hunter sitting right here as the Lobos take on Iona. For Malik Taylor, who produced this show back in Jefferson City, thank you. Always a great job in guiding me through some unfamiliar territory. And my broadcast partner, Hunter Green, appreciate you letting me hang out with you. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, I love for you to step in anytime because I am not the man to do play-by-play.
I'm glad I get a few a year, and it's always fun. Final score, final time. Lobos beat Northern New Mexico 115-66. Go out and have yourself a great, safe evening. Good night, everybody. You've been listening to Lobo Basketball from Learfield.